The topic tonight is heaven's culture. Before we go deeper into the topic, I need to explain to you a little bit what is heaven and what is culture. So, the first question is, what is heaven? In the English language, there is actually two words. One is heaven, which refers normally to the spiritual realm we call heavens. But sometimes in the Bible, heavens is used like sky, like the physical sky where we can look at night or during the day that is blue. Sometimes we call it heaven. What I'm talking tonight is not the physical heaven, and actually heaven is not like above. It's another dimension. So, but we think always it's above, but heaven is literally everywhere because God is everywhere. So when we talk about heaven, it's the spiritual realm. In Genesis 1, God says and God created the heavens and earth. So even the heavens are something God has created. What also is heaven? Heaven is where God rules. Heaven is where God's presence is. The devil and the demons, they are not in heaven. Heaven is where God is the king, where God is the ruler, where God is with His glory, with His presence. I guess you already know that, right? I'm just talking about it so we have the same understanding, okay? Yeah. So it's where God rules 100%. Here on earth, we can allow God to rule or not. So God does not rule our lives if we don't allow Him 100%. But in heaven, He is. Alright. The other thing we need to talk about is what is culture. And there is a lot of different definitions of culture. So I was just taking one of the definitions. Let's read the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. The customary beliefs, social forms, material traits of a racial, religious or social group. Also the characteristic features of everyday existence, such as the diversions of way of life shared by people in a place or time, popular culture, Southern culture. That's just one of the definitions. So culture is not just like one thing. It's like complex. It has a lot of aspects. So, I've put it in a little bit more easy way for us to understand, okay? So, the first thing, it's a set of values. For example, I'm from another culture. I'm from Europe. I'm from Germany. So in Germany, some parts of our culture, we have different values than Brazilian culture. In Asia, there is a different culture. So when I came here to Brazil, I needed to understand what are the values. What are some of the values of Brazilian culture? Tell me. What are the things Brazilians value?
Good question.
Food, right?
Oh, good question.
A good question. Yeah, but we also like food, churrasco, right?
Yeah, but it's more like football.
Huh?
Football.
Food? Football, soccer in English, no?
Yeah.
But I talk about values. Jeitinho. What is this in English? Jeitinho brasileiro. It's like when you try to fix something, but you improvise a lot, so it's like not really fixed. It can break like any minute again, right? Way out here. Okay, what else? What do Brazilians value? You're Brazilian, so you should know. Spontaneously. Freedom. Family. Hospitality. Happiness. For example, one aspect in German culture we value a lot is honesty. There is also like, for us, it's also very important that things are organized, that things are done well. Every culture has aspects of God's culture, and some aspects are not. But I give you this as an example because for me, when I came here, I was confronted with another culture. In many ways, in some aspects, very opposite to my culture where I'm from. And sometimes with God's culture, with heaven's culture, it's the same thing. So it's different values. So what values does heaven's culture have? Anyone know? From God?
Loneliness.
Huh?
Sorry, forget it. I would say
Worship,
holiness.
holiness, love, righteousness, truth, love, family. Very good. Very good. Also, accepted and not accepted behavior. Every culture has moral things, also like what you can do, what you can say, how you can say it. For example, here in Brazil, or here in Minas, if you want to talk with someone, you cannot talk directly, right? That's like considered here like not so good, right? Right?
Right.
In my culture, it is. In my culture, if I'm doing something wrong, or something another person wants to tell me, I expect the other person to tell me, oh my God, you should do this. But here in Brazil, it's different. Different way of behavior. Also like, what's another good example?
For example, you buy a red car, and then you ask a friend of you if he liked your.
If he likes the red car, yeah.
And if he didn't like, it's fun, but I would prefer a black one. Maybe it would be.
Yeah. All right. What we wear, how we dress, is also very thing defined by culture. For example, in Europe, like around 100, 200 years ago, if you were like a person who was strong and very white skinned, you were considered beautiful. Now in Europe, it's the opposite. If you are tanned, like by the sun, you're considered more healthy, more beautiful. So what we wear, how we look, is also defined a little bit by culture. How we speak, culture. Youth culture, right? They say a lot of different things. Sometimes in Germany, how the youth speak, the adults don't understand even. Every culture has a different expression. Also in English, when you go to Australia, they say other things. If you go to the United States, they express the same thing, even in a different way. So how we speak, what we speak, is also defining the culture. How we think is also a little bit defined by the culture. You understand, like culture is something like that is like very present. It pretty much like defines a lot of things in our lives. Also, of course, arts and literature. Also, like movies, or we call it like pop culture, is part of it. Just for us to have a little bit of understanding, when I talk about culture, what we are talking about. So, the other thing we need to realize, everyone has a culture, and everyone belongs to a culture, if you like it or not. And, because I'm a foreigner here, I'm observing. And I need to also understand, for example, before I've met a lot of Brazilians, and I have learned some aspects of Brazilian culture. But since I'm here, I'm learning some other aspects. And I'm learning that there is a personal culture that I have, the way I like to speak, the way I like to talk. But of course, we also have like a family culture. Even within like Minas, even within this church, this ministry here, families have different cultures, different values, different way of speaking, different way of doing things. So when we talk about culture, especially when you go to another culture, you need to consider all the aspects. For example, you meet me and you think, oh, all Germans are like Michael. No. Some aspects are very common parts, common values, common ways of doing things, like to be more direct, you know, to be like telling the truth, even if it hurts or people don't like to hear it. This is, I would consider, generally part of German culture. But some things how I do, it's just like my personal culture, or how my family does the things. Of course, with culture, a group has a culture. We as a church, we as a service, we are building a culture which you are part of. Congratulations, by the way. Also, we have subcultures. For example, youth culture, like the hipsters, like the, what else? Like the skater guys, like, for example, the hip-hop groups, like the people who like to listen to funk. This is a subculture, even within Brazilian culture. And then we have a culture of a city, a state. My wife, she is from Bahia, right? So I've learned that the culture from Bahia and from Minas, of course they share a lot of things common because it's Brazilian culture, but many things are different, right, my love?
Sorry, why was
The culture between Minas and Bahia is different, right? Some aspects.
Yes, it was. Michael, guys.
No, you don't have to share something. I just want to know that it's different, right? Or the Paulistas, the people from the state of São Paulo.
We speak Oxente, we eat acarajé, spice.
The food, but also how you speak, how you do, okay? Also like a region, a state, and of course, a nation. So everyone has a culture. Alright, no, that was too quick. Go on back.
Yes.
Doesn't need to speak. So, heaven's culture is the culture of heaven. We live on earth. We are defined, we are living in different cultures and different levels. But no matter which culture we are from, as a Christian, our standard is heaven's culture.
Yeah.
The Bible of the culture. It could be that there is an aspect of German culture that is not glorifying God, so we need to change. If there's another aspect of Brazilian culture, it needs to compare to God's standards, not compare to other cultures. Of course, oftentimes, we can use other cultures to compare our culture. You know what I'm figuring out? The more you get to know another culture, the more you learn about your own. The more you learn another language, the more you learn about your own. When I went the first time abroad to Australia, I learned a lot about my own culture that I didn't know, that I didn't realize before. So with heaven's culture, for a lot of us, maybe you're here in the church a long time, maybe not, but this is something we need to think about. This is our new home. For us Christians, heaven is home, it's not earth. Earth is temporary. So our standard, our measure is heaven's culture. Yeah. Let me give you a Bible scripture. Matthew 9:10. You It's when the disciples asked Jesus, how should we pray? And Jesus answers like this. Matthew 9:10. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Can I get an amen here?
Amen.
On earth as it is in heaven.
Amen.
And a kingdom also has a culture. When Jesus came to earth, one of the most repeated messages is the kingdom is near. The culture of heaven is coming.
Wow.
The kingdom is coming. Since Jesus died on the cross, His kingdom is available for us. Heaven is available for us. If you have accepted Jesus as your Lord and your Savior, you are part of heaven's culture. Amen. So here, Jesus Himself says, as it is in heaven, heaven is the standard, heaven is the perfect example, and we need to change it, we need to practice, we need to put it on earth. So who's the perfect example of doing this? Jesus. Look, I can tell you a lot about German culture. And I'm teaching, so I'm preparing students to go there, to study there, to live there. But it's very different when you go there, when you live there. Before, people say, oh, Brazilians are like this, they do like this. Oh, they're very friendly, they're very open. But there are also some other parts that are not so cool. But because I was living in another culture, Australian culture, German culture, it wasn't affecting me. But when I was living here, things of a different culture start to affect you. Because they are different. So for us, we need to adapt to heaven, not to earth. When you go to another culture, live in another culture, you have two choices. You can change to that culture, or you cannot change, you stay the same. With heaven's culture, we have to change to God's standards. No matter which is your personal value, your personal culture, your family culture, the culture of your city, your nation, God's standard. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Sometimes we have some subcultures, some aspects that are very negative. They draw you in. They try to influence. Culture tries to influence us. Have you noticed that? The moral standards are defined by culture. TV, media, how your peers are like the people in your age or in your school think. And oftentimes as Christians, we are contra culture. With some of our values, we go against the culture we live in. We cannot adapt to the culture we live in. We need to bring heaven to earth.
Amen. Let's see.
This is very important for us to know. We cannot be influenced by the culture around us. We need to be influenced by God Himself. That's why we need to meet as a church. Because if we are not strong, it's very easy to get sucked into the culture of the world, into the culture the enemy is trying to put as a trap for us. And some parts of culture are very difficult to fight off. Because you get to listen, you watch it on TV. Oh, it's okay to have a lot of girlfriends, to have a lot of sex before marriage. God's standard, not the standard of the world. Jesus is the example. Because when we read the Bible, even for the Israelites, they were knowing some things. But even like this, they didn't get it. They didn't understand heaven's culture. They didn't understand what God wanted from them. So Jesus himself, in flesh and blood, had to come for us to understand the perfect example of a person with God. And it's Jesus. His compassion, His love, His sacrifice, how He was treating people, how He was dealing with the people that were prostitutes, with the people of low status, of the people with high status. He is the perfect example for us to imitate. You know, when I studied at the seminar, the Bible College in Hillsong, they told us, look, some things are taught, like from teach to teach, taught. Other things are called. You need to get it. You need to receive it. You need to see it. Before in Germany, I had a lot of bad experience with church. Also some good experience, but I was disappointed and I was frustrated with how the church was operating. So I went to Australia, to Hillsong, and some aspect I have experienced, I have caught, I have understood. For some things I can tell you, oh, there they do like this. Unless we experience ourselves, it's very difficult. So our hope that here in this service, this church, in your life, you experience heaven. You experience heaven's culture. You experience how we should live our life. With what kind of values, with what we should speak, what we should not speak. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through Him all things were made. Without Him nothing was made that has been made. In Him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. It talks about Jesus. We need to imitate Jesus. 3 important things when we talk about culture. And again, this is just starting of the series, okay? So in the next weeks, we're going to talk about some very specific points of God's culture. For example, God's culture is love. And not emotional love, not just sexual love, it's love. A lot of things in God's kingdom are upside down. Have you figured this out? The more powerful in the kingdom is who serves more. Not who has more power, who has more responsibility. Who serves more. Also truth. There's a lot of things we will discover and talk through. So, 3 important things with heaven's culture. First, we need to know the culture of heaven. We need to know how we should live our lives. We should know with reading the Bible and living it out. That's why we want this service to be where we live out the calling that God has for us to the best of our knowledge, to the best of our strength. Amen? So we need to know it. To know is the key word here. To know. Second, we need to adapt to heaven's culture, not the culture we are living in. Amen?
Amen.
And living against a popular culture. For example, one thing that's really annoying also in Brazil is this political correctness. Oh no, you cannot say anymore Merry Christmas. It's like season's greetings. Seriously, who is the reason for the season? It's Jesus. It's Merry Christmas, it's not season greetings. Just to give one example. You know, we're like too politically, probably here in Brazil not too much, but in Europe, oh no, you cannot say this. Oh no, you cannot say that because, oh no. No, we need to say the truth with love, of course. So we need to adapt to receive Jesus, God, how to live life, His set of values. And this is not so easy as it sounds. And the third is we need to bring heaven to earth. God has chosen us to be His vessel. Yes, we need to pray as Jesus says. But when we are part of the culture, we can bring it, we can teach it, we can live it by the way we do things, by the way we love, by the way we take care of family, of our things. And this is the reason for this message that we here, this group of people, at least, will live to God's standards, to His calling, to His purpose, as He has designed everything. Amen? Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. This adapting to another culture is not an easy process. We are all in this process becoming more like Jesus. No matter how young or how old we are, no matter how young or new or old we are in believing in Jesus, in faith, we all need to progress. Everyone needs to work on some things. Right? Or is anyone perfect here? No? I thought so. Because no one is perfect. His will be done. That's one of the things of the kingdom. It's not our will. Popular culture says, I want to do as I want, when I want, how I want. That's why a lot of people have problems with God, with the church, with Jesus. Because they cannot live their lives as they want, as they think, how they want, and when they want. Amen? That's why we need to be different. And in a lot of aspects, for example, with abortion, we know that God is for life, right? Oh no, but I, as a woman, I need to have the right over my body. What does the Bible say? Our body belongs to God. It doesn't belong to us. You know, there's a lot of, it's just like one example, but there is a lot of examples. So, tonight, we need to make a decision. Do you want to live this verse here? Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Will we be the people to bring God's glory to earth? Are we the people who bring God's presence onto earth? Where we are, where we work, where we do life, we need to be those people. Look, we want this nation to be changed. We want this city to be better. It only gets better with heaven. So we need to bring God's standards to earth in our lives first, and then we can pass them on. You're in this. Alright, let us stand up. Jesus doesn't ask us necessarily to do easy things. But here in this service, I want us to live Your kingdom come. Your will. Not my will. Not what I want. For example, today in the meeting before, in the TV, the Holy Spirit was just taking over the meeting. Right? I was thinking to plan to speak about some other things, and the Holy Spirit was just like, no, now is some time for speaking, now is some time for spontaneous worship. So, His will be done. Okay, let me ask you this. Who wants to live this life? Put up your hands. Who wants to live this life? We are in this together. Let us pray. Thank you, God, for your word tonight. And God, we pray that you change us according to your standards, according to your will, God, according to your plans, according to your standards, according to your values, according to heaven's culture. God, we pray that you bring your glory into our lives. God, we pray that you bring your presence into our lives right now. Your will be done. Shout it out to God. Your will be done. Okay, I want everyone, say it with your heart. Shout it out. Your will be done.
Yes.
Not my will, His will.
Yes.
God, change us. Help us to bring heaven to earth. God, we need your help. Holy Spirit, help us. Help us in the day-to-day life when things get challenging. When our colleagues or our peers, our mates are doing wrong things. Help us to stand up, to speak out. Let us take care of our brothers and sisters. In the name of Jesus. God, use us. We're here tonight, God, and me also. I pray the same prayer. God, we pray that you use us this week to build your kingdom, to build your heaven, to build your culture.
And heaven's culture.